Oh there, good evening, early evening, late afternoon. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. Pleasure to have you back here on the channel with us for another wee show as we look towards our big game against Stuttgart tomorrow night at home under the lights at Celtic Park, and hopefully, based on some of the stuff that's come out and some of the comments, maybe not a full capacity Celtic Park, but potentially a far more vibrant and noisy Celtic Park, because we just might get in our fan groups in there to make the noise and bring the colour. Joined with me tonight is, of course, as always, it's Paddy Boys, my right-hand man, and down below a man who's become an absolute gem on this channel, a mainstay, as bald brother number 2, it is Stevie Woods. We're here to talk about the game. We're here to look forward to it. Get yourselves in. We're on X. We're on TikTok. We are on YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Cost you absolutely nothing. Our numbers, we're nearly at that 3,600. Help us push through it. Hit the subscribe. Costs us absolutely nothing. And if you like what you've seen here, give it a big thumbs up, share it, all that stuff. And of course, down below in the description is our extra social media accounts where you can catch up with us elsewhere. So, lads, let's get about it. Let's get down to business now. As you can see there, we spoke about the Europa League, and the tagline says the Europa League distraction, as some people are calling it, could well be the inspiration that this squad needs. There's been various outlooks on this one, guys. Some people have went, it is a distraction that we don't need. The team are maybe just getting by. It's a bit thin. The performances haven't been there, and we could be doing with playing less games. Well, I want to flip that and turn around and say that some of your better performances, positive results, have came in this European competition against the odds, because there was points where we looked like we were going to be out of it. So why shouldn't, Paddy, this game tomorrow be looked upon as being an opportunity to play a good quality team, give a good account of yourselves, and with that, breathe some extra confidence into this team, this squad, for the title run-in, mate?
I love your outlook on it, Steve, if I'm going to be honest. I love that way of looking at it. For me, I'm the eternal, what we'll call it, pessimist here. I'm kind of looking at it going, yeah, we've got a lot of games backed up here. We've got a lot of things going on. You've got the old European hangover when it comes to games. And let's face it, mate, at the minute, Celtic are scraping by. When the referees are helping us out here, they're giving us 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes sometimes, just basically however long it takes. But we'll not tell anybody about that. Listen, it is what it is, mate. It's a massive game, and I'd like to think that it's going to give the players that wee extra boost, that wee extra kick. You just hope that they are, like, we know they're professional footballers and they should be able to play 2-3 games a week or whatever. But I just hope that it's not too much, and other teams are getting a rest, because, listen, the Europa League isn't for everyone. European football isn't for every team. So other teams will be getting a rest, and they will be able to push on. They will be able to rest certain players. But going into it, mate, it's a massive opportunity for Celtic. Like you said, being back at Celtic Park, having the lights shining down, possibly the return of some fans. I might as well address it at the minute. There was a meeting today with the collective and Celtic that happened at 3 o'clock. As of yet, we have no update from them. However, part of that meeting was to address getting the GB back in. So hopefully we get them back in and we get the noise back into Celtic Park. I mean, if you watch Martin O'Neill's interview as well, Martin was asked the question and he said the support at Kilmarnock the other day really, really helped Celtic get that game over the line. And we've said it on here many a time, Steve-o. Celtic fans have got the ability to sook the ball into the back of the net. When you start making that noise and that atmosphere, it's incredible. It really, really is. And we need to get that back. With that support, I think Celtic will then kick on and we'll start to see a progression of results, and we can turn this around. Yeah, 100%, mate.
Absolutely. You know, as I said there prior, Paddy giving his opinion there, Stevie boy, the results in Europe have been a bit more of a positive. When we look at Martin Neill, obviously Michelin aside, some great performances there. And what a turnaround. You know, there was a point where early on you're thinking, all right, Europe is what it is, we'll see how it goes. Then it looked completely dead in the water and we've managed to pick it up. As Paddy touches on, admittedly, and it always has been the case, the game after the European It's sometimes been a wee bit hit and miss. It's been a wee bit of a tough test. And of course, at the weekend, that's going to be Hibs. It doesn't exactly get any easier.
No.
But this squad needs something. Of course, we talked about the fans getting back in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, that happens. I reckon that would be an absolute massive boost, and it would certainly lift everything, lift the fan base wider, the players, and the manager was talking about it today. These are the kind of wee easy wins that we need, the wee shots in the arm. But coming back to it, where's your thoughts for the game against Stuttgart? Because, yeah, is it going to be tough? Absolutely. We're playing a very good team. We're going to have to run faster, play harder, and it will be weary on the legs. But there's also that potential of the adrenaline shot, isn't there? If you get a positive result against a good team, then it kicks you on and it puts a wee bit of a springer step. And I'm with Paddy. I'd rather be in these tournaments than no in them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're a professional footballer in general, then you want to be playing teams opposition at the highest level. Now that's not bringing down domestic football, but it is just a different level. I think in terms of Stuttgart, yes, very organised. You know, we've seen some of the results in the tournament this year up to date. No doubt a test, absolutely. I'm just hoping that we get through the game with no injuries. I can see why certain people are describing it. I personally wouldn't use the word distraction, but it is certainly a potential where if somebody picks up another injury, then you're losing them for a run of games. So I do see it from that side. But yeah, definitely, I think playing in Europe, it gives some of our new players a chance to get more minutes on the park. And again, you know, we can maybe see Martin might decide to freshen things up, bring somebody in that hasn't featured in the last few weeks or whatever. So there's many variables, but I would say, just bearing in mind, I would say it's more on the positive side than on the negative that some people have been kind of, you know, painting it as, you know, we would rather be out this tournament and just concentrate in the league. I don't really see that myself.
No, I don't prescribe to that, and certainly Martin Neill won't prescribe to it. As you know, as Michael's saying, he does know how to beat German sides. It's been proven, and of course Stuttgart, that's a notable on, of course, the very storied Seville run. Of course, I'll take that kind of setup before. Obviously, we had away goals and stuff like that. It's a different story now, but yeah, completely different era. But once again, it's kind of funny how these things work out. Martin Neill finds himself in a knockout Europa League, or as it was once, the UEFA Cup now, against Stuttgart. Familiar, and it'd be a great opportunity for us to go ahead. And of course, the way that he was speaking about the positivity and the need for unity, then hopefully that's something that comes together. As Paddy briefly touched on, there was meant to be a representative meeting with them, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can hear that. I reckon that would be absolutely massive. It's fine margins. It's wee things that give you that bit extra. And as it was said there in the comments as well, at times it has been a wee bit like a morgue. So, you know, absolutely, we need that. We need that wee extra shot in the arm. And of course, then that'll push on to the game against Hibs. And I know that you've got to do it on the pitch. The guys have got to do it on the pitch. But when you got that back in the stand, you just feel a wee bit more confident that you can go for one into the next game and push on and kick on and do that. So, well, hopefully that will come together. But let's start talking about them. So let's have a wee chat about Stuttgart. As you rightly said, they are doing not too bad for themselves in the Bundesliga. We'll bring up the table here so you can just get a wee swatch of where they are, as they say. They're sitting in fourth, pretty good account of themselves. And as you can see, you know, the German league's looking a wee bit different for as it would probably normal. Obviously, Dortmund and Bayern Munich at the top. And Hoffenheim a wee bit of a surprise. And even an extent, you've got to say, Stuttgart have been a bit of a surprise package. They are a very good team, but you normally are used to seeing Leipzig and Leverkusen up there over the top of them. And it's pretty much fair to say that they do score a decent amount of goals. Obviously, they're sitting there with a decent goal difference of plus 12, and it is a super competitive league. So for them to be sitting fourth in that league, I think that tells you the measure of them, guys. And as you touched on as well, in terms of the results in the Europa League. They have done pretty well in this tournament, and they'll obviously look at us and maybe look at the situation that we're in and see us as being an ideal draw. Is this one maybe, Stevie, is it potentially a bridge too far, or do you just see them as being no better or worse than some of the teams that have played before?
They're definitely better than some of the teams we've played this season. Absolutely. I can only hope, right? And here's the big cross the fingers. I can only hope that because they are challenging for the Bundesliga, they might look at us as a chance to rest some of their players, maybe to prioritise for their league run as well. So they might see the gap we just scraped in compared to where they were in the qualifiers. So, potentially it might not be a kind of full strength Stuttgart team. But as I say, I think it's good for us to go out and test ourselves against a team of this calibre. See over the two legs, if the better team win, fair enough. We gave it our best shot. But as I say, it gives some of our guys more minutes on the park, a chance to try something different, because they won't set up the same way that the likes of a Livingston and a Kilmarnock will set up. They'll be very open, and hopefully, we can use that to our strengths as well and try and get a positive result over the two games.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see here, Paddy, I've just brought up the results. They are doing pretty well. Obviously, the last game won. I lost to St. Pauli. I lost to the good guys there. They're going down 2-1 there. But by and large, they are playing pretty well. Now, the main thing that you'll notice as you get through most of the results are they are scoring. They're doing well. But they aren't, they like to concede and all. And that's definitely something that we've got to look at. Yes, I understand that maybe the goals haven't been freely flying in for ourselves, but we do have the potential to score goals. We do have guys that can do that, and it's about trying to maximise it and take opportunity. Yes, they are a very good team. They're playing in an excellent league, and they're sitting in a good position in it. But I think that they are still there to be got at, and as I'll bring up their actual stats as their players and stuff, they have quality across the board. All these big or sort of named European sides always do, but when you see it in focus, once again, it's like we've seen with a lot of these European teams, there's a handful of guys that are chipping in with the lion's share of the goals, and that can only be beneficial.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Listen, they do concede as well. Like you were saying there, Young Boys scored 2 goals against them. St. Pauli have scored 2 goals against them. So with the Celtic attack the way it is, guys like Dyson Maeda, if he's on fire and he's firing through the middle, or he's down the wing, putting the ball into big Vanchara and stuff like that, he'll have played against them as well. So he knows a wee bit about them. Things like that, mate, can play into your advantage. Like I said, they are conceding goals. And you talk about some of their players, you can have a look through their squad. I had a wee look. Guys like Undav and guys like this obviously scoring a lot of goals.
You talk away, mate.
One of the biggies for me, Steve, was the left back, Maximilian Manschak, or whatever his name is. He was in the German squad there, and I can remember him because it was absolutely magic. He's very, very good going forward. Puts an incredible ball into the box and stuff like that as well. Fantastic player. So players like that are the ones that you're going to need to watch. He'll be the guy that's getting all the assists here. He'll be the one that's putting the ball basically into your Undavs and I can't remember the big striker's name. It was
don't you worry, I've got you covered here, mate.
Yeah. So like they are scoring goals. They are a decent side. You don't get to sit in 4th in the Bundesliga if you're not a good side. Let's be honest.
No, certainly not.
We've played against German squads before, and it's went well on some occasions. You just need to look at Bayern Munich. We were very, very unlucky there. But then again, you want to look at the other side of it. You start looking at Dortmund, and we all know how that panned out for us. So, yes, I'm hoping it's the kind of Bayern Munich side rather than the Dortmund side that we're getting here. But yeah, going into it, mate, I'm quietly confident that we can do something at Celtic Park. I think they will score. I think they'll come here and they'll attack us. I think they see it as a not a free hit, but they see it as an opportunity where they can have a chance to progress. I don't think they'll rest players like Stevie's saying. I think your top four are guaranteed Champions League in the Bundesliga anyway, aren't they? So they're obviously already
Usually,
sitting
yeah.
in a Champions League
Usually.
position.
I mean,
but
and
yeah,
that's the
for
thing.
me, mate, they're going to come here and go for it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that'll free up opportunity for us.
One thing you don't have a lack of, Stevie, is guys that are firing. There we go. We mentioned big Undav there. 16 goals under his belt. Now, come on, be chopping your hand off for that. And he's, understudy his rotation strike partner, wherever they want to play it. He's got 10 goals. But as I said, as a clutch of guys, then you move in. Obviously, we say as well, we've got Lelling. He's got 8 goals to his name, and then further up, it's El Kaus with 6 goals. So that's a clutch hit. There's goals across the team, as we can see, but they are slightly more sparing. Now, of course, you mentioned the man himself, the left back, 4 under his belt, Paddy. That's no bad as well. So there is plenty of threat, but sometimes I always feel if you've got a focal point, i.e. it's 1 or 2 strikers that you're going to be up against, it's an attacking midfielder or it's a winger, it gives you a focal point. It gives you something to work on, try and nullify it, take care of that. And this is where, like, the guys, state the obvious, Steve-O, but 2 of the big sort of losses for Celtic lately in games have been midfield seemed a wee bit disjointed at times, as we well know, defensively. So, Stevie, that'll beg the question then. So let's have a wee look in terms of our midfield, right? Because that's going to be a massive debate. Arne Engels, we've found, unfortunately, is going to be out for a good couple of weeks. And despite what folk might say about him, it's a huge loss. It's a massive loss. And you look at that as well. Oxlade-Chamberlain can't play. He's not been registered. And despite the injury, Engels is only won two games. Obviously, he can't be dropped in. We saw the difference he made for freeing up Cal McGregor. Cal McGregor's been trying to do everything like a blue-arse fly, and it's been diluting his game because guys like Hatate, guys like McCowan, guys like Bernardo just haven't been picking it up. So what do we do for this game tomorrow? Because let's have a look at it. Hatate, he get roundly trounced. He was horrible in our last outing, and it's more shocking to say he get in that team. What does that then say about what maybe Martin Neill thinks, or lack of trust is there in McCowan and Bernardo? How do we tackle this one?
Yeah, as you say, none of the 3 that you've mentioned have, set the heather in fire this year at all. In terms of Hatate, I think he had 1 or 2 good games over the course of a season. He's scored a couple of goals, but consistency, it's just not been there. He's running about as if he just doesn't know if it's New York or New Year. Maeda's the same. You're still getting the same amount of running out of Maeda, but he's not impacting on games the way he did over the course of last season. Never mind the number of goals he scored, but just in general, in terms of putting defences under pressure and getting quality balls into the box. So yeah, it's going to be a toughie. I don't know whether it's time for Martin to say, given the quality of opposition, do I maybe change it to a more traditional 4-4-2? Do I maybe try and put somebody else in there? We talked about Sarachi moving in to maybe take up a position in the middle of the park, to give that wee bit more physicality. That is everybody's fear typhoon there. Unfortunately, the kind of triumvirate of Hatate, Kalmack, and Nygren will obviously give you excellent going forward. He'll get himself into the box. He'll be on the end of stuff. But when the 3 play together, there's no real cover for the defence. That's why teams are playing through that midfield, and that's where they're getting joy. So it is a big kind of question mark as to how best to set up.
Yeah, definitely. Paddy, do you think there's maybe even something, would Martin and Neill do what I'm about to suggest? Because some folk will say, we should go for it, we're at home. let's get the confidence, play our game and hope it works. As you touched on, there's also the fear that you could end up on end of scudding, and you don't want that. With the conundrum of who do we play in that midfield, because as people are saying, and I wouldn't put it past them, this is the thing, Hatate has been a passenger, right? He's checked out, insert term of guy doesn't give a fuck right here, and it's Hatate. But as I touched on the last time, remember against Bologna, I know he gets sent off and he made an arse of it, but up to that point, it was actually one of his better performances. It's just mental. So as frustrating as he is, he could potentially play tomorrow and do well, but equally, you could flip a coin and you could get no interest at crap garbage Hatate. That is how inconsistent. I would describe him as no consistency. He's a moments player, but the moments have long dried up. Tell me the last time that he really, truly influenced a game and had a handle on it. But somebody needs to play. Engels isn't there. Oxlade Chamberlain isn't there. So it's going to have to be one or more of, as we've just mentioned, Hatate, McCowan and Bernardo. Would Martin maybe even go mental and just barn down the hatches, 4 at the back, 5 in the middle, and 1 up front, and just be like, listen, swap my midfield and just throw as many fucking players in there as possible and hope that they can all work together?
Nah, I don't think he would do that, mate. I think that would be career suicide at this point. It's Martin O'Neill's 1000th game in charge of a football team, which also hurts. So obviously Martin will be wanting to go out there and he want a result for that. We've managed to get a result against Stuttgart before, so I don't see why it would be different this time. Rio Hatate, in my opinion, mate, listen, I've tried to back him up as much as I can, but I can't sell that horse anymore. I really, really can't. He's been absolutely garbage. Let's not beat about the bush. He's been pants. Like you said, the game against Bologna, he gets the goal, then gets sent off. Kind of summed it up for me. It was just like, yeah, you done a wee bit, mate, and then you went back to the old shit. For me, in this game, mate, we are going to need somebody who's going to want to do the defensive work. Somebody like Engels would have been ideal because he does get dug in. He does do the shitey jobs and sometimes forgets that he has to then go forward. I think, obviously, Benji Negrin as well has to be looked at for a place in there. He needs to be, obviously, straight in. He's our top goal scorer. But when you're talking about the thought of playing either Bernardo or Luke McCowan or Hatate, for me, a bad Hatate is better than they two. Do you know what I mean? They two, for me, mate, they've been in and out the periphery of this team, sniffing about here and there, but none of them have actually broke in. At least Hatate's been getting games, and that's not down to being a manager favourite or being just lucky or whatever. He's obviously showing something because every single manager that's came in has had that faith in him to put him in there. Whether he's had a shite game or not previously, he's came in and he's been put back in by that manager. So I think he does start because he's the better option than what we've got. And if he has a Snyder, then I think he would get pulled possibly half time. I don't think we'll try and play any players out of position. I know you were talking there, Stevie, about possibility of Sarachi stepping into that kind of role and playing kind of just on the left. I understand that, but I don't.
Is that up there with McGregor at left back, Patter? Aye,
it is, mate. It's up there. It's Wilfred Nancy stuff, isn't it? When the team used to get picked out a fucking raffle. That's kind of what that is, mate. Yeah, for me, you've got to go with the tried and tested here. You've got to have your strongest 11 out there. And for me, although he's been garbage, Hatate's in that strongest 11. And it's a harsh thing to say, isn't it? Right? Because he has been so bad. It just kind of shows you that how poor our midfield really has been. That he's in the strongest 11 for me. A lot of people might not agree in that, but yeah, that's kind of my opinion there. Right?
No, I understand. As I said, the facts are somebody's going to have to play in there. And as you touched on, Negrin is, he's been a godsend in terms of goals and no-brainer, and he has to go in. But as we well know, you're losing so much. He has to go in because he has to scoring goals, and he's always seemed to be there. But as an actual midfielder, he doesn't.
What does he do?
He does exactly. No, let's be honest. He doesn't he's invaluable, but he's a bit of a headache, a bit of a luxury, if you will, at times, because when you need him to chip in and do all the other work, it's kind of lacking. And again, to say that's where Cal McGregor had a wee bit of difficulty through points this season, where he's been covering whoever the two guys that have been around him, and he's trying to spread himself thin and do everything, and it's not worked out, and then it's resulted in him having criticism. I actually had a conversation with one of my mates, Chris, the other day there about this, and we were discussing him, and I said, look, McGregor's been getting some flack this season. I said, and let's be totally honest, rightfully so. Now, because he has been shit at points. I said, however, I had a wee think about it. And some of the reasons that he's been shit is because he's been spreading himself so thin to cover for a McCowan, to cover for a Hatate, to cover for Nigrin, and he's been spreading himself so far across that midfield, trying to fill in and do everybody else's job on top of his own, that it's affected his overall effectiveness on the game. As we've seen, when you put somebody like Oxlade Chamberlain beside him, he allows him to go and focus on his game because he knows that guy's going to be there. And when you're playing a team like Stuttgart here, that is the conundrum. Nigrin will definitely be in because he's got the goal threat, he always finds himself. But it's one, he's definitely not going to give you the work rate. He's not blessed with aggression, great in the tackle, speed. So you don't have him. And then Hatate, as we've discussed, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. I think the fact that we've not seen Bernardo and we've not seen McCowan, some would maybe say a wee bit unfair, but the more I think about it now, why are these guys not getting to the pitch? Martin O'Neill's a great judge of character, I think, and they've not been getting near the pitch. But I just think that we need to play one or even two of them. That's why I suggested the idea, maybe going to 5 in the middle. It wouldn't be particularly what I'd want to do, but I understand if you just try to play the standard formation, we could be left wide and exposed. But it's options to have. In terms of Maeda and Hatate, folk are turning around saying, it's a short window. They'll probably go out and give one of their better performances, which may well be the case, Steve. But let's look at the wings then. Are you going with Maeda, and is it got to be Maeda maybe flipped over to allow Taneki to play on the left, or are you going to go with Yang? How's that one pan out?
Again, if I'm the manager, I go with the guy who's in form, which would be Taneki. But seeing as how I'm not a manager, do you go by the guy who will cover most amount of ground, both in an attacking and defensive sense? Because then that would be Maeda. You would still want him, his pace pushing up against the right back, keep him up the pitch. Paddy was saying about the left back for Stuttgart. That's going to be some battle with Arojo. That's going to be a test for him.
You better have him though there, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. That I think that's going to be a real cracking matchup there. At both ends of the pitch. So yeah, I mean it's as you've said there, the same with the Hatate and McCowan and Bernardo conundrum. Martin sees these players every single day in training. He knows, who he can rely on, who's going to go out there and do a job for him. Whether that job is the fancy stuff or whether it's the kind of just go in there and do your basics and do your basics well. Yeah. So, I think probably I would say Maeda's going to start, and on the right, again, Yang's in the same position. We've seen some really good games from Yang this season. We were getting our T-shirts printed up with a Yang gang on it. And then he's kind of like fallen away again. Didn't have a particularly sterling in either of his last 2 starts. So I think Taneki more impactful off the left-hand side, but for me, probably I think he's going to start with Maeda, just given the work rate more than anything else. Yeah.
Paddy, any difference on that? I mean, personally, I wouldn't be against flipping Maeda over to the right. We know that his argues diminishing returns on both, but if you're wanting that sort of energy, put him over there, because I think he'll still, as people are saying, probably run about like a blue ass fly. He'll put himself in that short window and potentially attack it. I'd be more inclined to say Maeda will put in more of a shift if the two were to play. But I would move him over and I would keep Taneki in because he's riding the crest of a wave. He's a great impact. And it's good that you've got that option if you have to bring him on. But let's just see him do it for the start. That's good. Get him in there, try out Maeda on the right, and then see where it goes. I would rather that than hoping that Yang can bounce back and get a performance. And I certainly, as much as I love the guy, I don't want to have to play James Forrest for the start. We shouldn't have to be doing that again, a game of this magnitude in 2026, mate.
Yeah, kind of looking at it, mate, the right-hand side is obviously a worrying one for us, right? You're looking at either having Yang or having James Forrest, basically. That's your two guys that would be suited to that position, shall we say. Dyson is an option, but you'd prefer him on the left. I agree with you completely. I don't think Taneki can be dropped. I think he's been outstanding for what we've seen of him the last wee while. He's been cutting inside. He's been hitting the byline. He's been doing all of the dirty stuff. He's been scoring screamers. He's basically pulled us out of a shit state in the last wee while there. Been very, very impressed with him. So I don't think he can be dropped. For me, he's one of the first names on that team sheet. And you wouldn't have heard me saying that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was basically calling him like the Chinese and Louis Palma and whatever else, you know what I mean? Saying that he's only got one trick. His one trick's working, so we'll take it. He's doing well with it. As for Dyson, I feel like when Dyson's on the right, it just takes him out of the game a little bit because he's having to think about what he's doing that little bit more. And I feel like players shouldn't have to think what they're going to do, how they're coming in. Dyson's brilliant attacking for the left. He's decent through the middle. Coming in for the right, he lacks that.
Yeah, I suppose.
That wee bit of ability. I would rather have somebody like Yang who plays that position to a certain standard, and then you keep Dyson on the bench and imagine him as an impact player. When your defender's starting to get a wee bit tired because Taneki's and Yang have been running it with the bylines and doing this and that, and you bring on Dyson after 55 minutes with that pace, that willingness to go forward, something like that, that could be exactly what Dyson needs as well. And then you look at it, Steve, the backup of games that we've got, being able to rest somebody like Dyson Maeda and a Europa League game is a bonus for me. So wee things like that make me push a wee bit more towards starting Taneki and Yang. I feel like that's what it would be for me, and obviously Big Tam up front.
Aye. Well, here's about, you've mentioned Big Tam, and that's what I want to say. There's people mentioning the notion of, even playing Dyson Maeda up front. I just don't think that can happen. I think that we saw whenever Fanchara came on, we saw the impact that he made, the difference, getting up the pitch, winning your fouls, and obviously he's got a hand in the goals. So I think that's 100% what we need. He's the first choice for me. He's the natural guy to go and play as the striker. Obviously there was him, there was Adamu, and there was a Joaro that were put in as the three additions to the team, right? Where would you be at with Adamu? Because again, is a potential, could he be even utilised as kind of like a sort of pseudo winger? Because he's got the pace.
Yeah, he's got a bit of pace. He's got that wee bit about him. But again, it's a horses for courses thing, Steve. It's the whole round pegs for square holes. You keep saying this. You know what I mean? Wee things like that. For me, it's got to be somebody who plays that position week in, week out, who knows the position. Because this isn't some pub team. This isn't some team in the SPL that have been struggling. This isn't Livy or Kelly or MD like that. This is a team that's sitting fourth in the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? They're a decent outfit. Yeah. And we need to have all players performing on the day. And it's got to be players that know that position inside out. You need to know the job inside out. We've seen what happened when Wilfred Nancy tried to come in and mess about with formations and play players slightly out of position.
It's not black and white and grainy. Just
exactly. I mean, I don't want to give anybody flashbacks, man. PTSD thinking about it, but yeah, you've seen what happens when you play players slightly out of position. So for me, you've got to go with your tried and tested. If Junior Adamu is going to get a start, then it has to be through the middle. But I don't see him starting over Schwanchara at any point, because every time Schwanchara's came on, his willingness to get into the box, to either get in there to win headers or to get a shot off, or even to drive for the byline and put the ball across himself, is outstanding, mate. I just feel like his work rate's been phenomenal, and he'll be a massive input into that squad for us for tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly we mentioned Aguero, fantastic, brilliant, and it's good as well. A lot of calls for Sarachi, a lot of praise for him, and rightly so. We look slightly better, don't we, in that left and right?
Yeah.
With Aguero there, and obviously the options of Tierney and Sarachi, brilliant, looking a good place. That then begs the question, Steve. We know it's going to be. We know it's going to be Trusty. We know it's going to be Scales tomorrow. And strangely enough, again, these are two guys that have had their troubles throughout the course of the season, been up and down. They've been a state of flux at points. But by and large, most of their best performances have been in Europe, which again frustrates the life out of you. Yeah. What version of they boys are going to turn up tomorrow, Stevie boy?
Listen, hold on. Wait till I get my Mystic Meg out here and have a wee search. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because of the type of play that Paddy mentioned earlier, the guy will come down the left hand side, he'll try and get the ball in. Both Scales and Trusty, they could eat that up. A ball into the air, bang, win that 9 times out of 10. Or we could see that where you and I spoke the other night about where have we generally been conceding most of our goals this season, from teams playing high balls into the box, from set pieces or from corners or whatever, and we're not setting up, defensively enough to win them in the air. So, like everything else, we would love to be able to say, this is when they will be able to step up. As I said at the beginning, coming and playing against teams of this quality, slightly different challenge. So you hope that everybody will, just step up and do their job and say, right, let's absolutely 90 minutes of coming on and just, being a unit, working together as a unit and get through the game. The Germans will absolutely have done their homework, but I think regardless of who we were going to come up against, it was going to be just as tough. But we can only do what we can do. As I say, over the course of the 2 games, if the best team win, as long as we avoid the injuries, is what I'm looking for. But it could be, it could be Austin's best game of the season. Liam could have an absolutely outstanding man of the match performance. You just don't know.
No, absolutely not. And hopefully, a lot of people are saying, rightly, we don't want any injuries. We want to get through this one safely. The result will be as it comes. In High Screen Smoke said, all 5 minutes of their homework, which would be just launch balls into the box and watch them panic. So hopefully, but again, these are the annoying things, because some football isn't that complicated. It really isn't. That's not the glorified armchair observer here, but it really isn't that hard. What if Celtic's Achilles heel's been silly free kicks that allow teams to pump the ball into the box, long throws, corners? Do your best to try and nullify that, Celtic. Do yourself a favour. Get yourself half the battle to do that. But we'll see how we go, see how it turns out. There's obviously been question marks again on Kasper Schmeichel, but I think by and large, he's going to start. And by and large, I think he's had pretty decent performances since Martin Neill's came back. There's been a lot of massive key saves in games that have won points and made the difference, as opposed to the one that were, for example, against Comark. Yep, totally at fault, but they've been few and far in between. I would again expect a good performance out of him tomorrow. Touchwood, don't want to curse it. I've said it now, but hopefully he can steady up the ship there. But I'm looking forward to the game. And people are asking, there still doesn't appear to be any update officially on the situation with the Green Brigade. I would dare say it will have to be announced tonight. It would have to be. Surely, if that was going to be something that's going to happen, it couldn't be a first thing tomorrow morning. Well, it might be non-Celtic, but you'd like to make sure that there's some definite notification period to allow these things to go on. But that really could be a difference maker. All the noise is getting made. The club are sitting there talking about unity, and then particularly Martin Neill's press conference, his chat today, it did sound positive, and I think that would be an absolute massive one for us. Just to close up on this part of the discussion, guys, it is, I know it's stating the obvious, right? But folk are concerned, as we said, about the game against Hibs, then the game against Rangers. Obviously, we travel to Germany, and then we've got Rangers a week over. Massive, massive game. Those two are undoubtedly the most important games, right? They really, really are. But how does this result, Paddy, that comes tomorrow, how will that influence where we go into the second leg? Would you, if Celtic were to, well, obviously, if it's all to win and we go there with a win, you're going to have to play something that resembles a very, very strong team because you want to try and secure the leg and get through. If Celtic weren't to win tomorrow and it doesn't go away and it's maybe a 2-goal deficit or something, would Martin Neill, do you think it's in his character to rest people looking at Ibrox and thinking that is a proverbial 6-pointer potentially?
I think if it comes down to it, mate, you have to. A result tomorrow for us, it's at Celtic Park, mate. You've got to go out there looking for the win. I know it's quality opposition and everything else, but for me, we've got to go out there and only a win at home at this stage in European competition is a win is a must for me, because going into that away leg, mate, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get absolutely battered. They're going to come at you. They're going to throw everything at it because they want to be in the competition as well. And like Stevie said, that they're sitting fourth, so they're already kind of guaranteed the Champions League at the minute. But if they then lose any position in the league, the only chance they've got at Champions League football is to actually go on and win the Europa League, and then that again pushes a wee bit more onto them. But for me, mate, I don't think it would be in Martin's game to turn around and say, right, we'll throw this one, guys, because we've got Rangers at the weekend. I couldn't see that. I really couldn't see that coming from him, or Sean, or even Fozzie. I don't think they would allow that to happen. But I just feel like tomorrow's massive, mate. It's at home. We've got the home advantage. Let's take the advantage. Let's actually just go out there and get it done for the start. And what to come back in on what Stevie was saying as well, with guys like Austin Trusty and Liam Scales, obviously performances wise, I'm hoping for an Austin Trusty via Atalanta performance here. Still go back to that. That's the best performance I've ever seen him. I want a Liam Scales performance that he put in against Atletico Madrid. He's even got his goal that night as well. That's the birth of the Ginger Maldini, so to be called. But honestly, like, those two performances came in Europe, and it's the two that really still stand out for me at this moment. I want to have a new moment come tomorrow night. I want to go, remember they two? Remember Scalesy and Trusty, how good they were? Remember Kasper Schmeichel come off the line and caught a corner? Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Let's have something to talk about. Actually jumped and didn't they do a starfish? Yeah, do you know what I mean? I just want everybody to step up, and we spoke about it before. You said it, Steve. Football is a simple game. Now, managers like Martin O'Neill play the game the simple way. His icon, as he'll tell you, was Brian Clough. The way Clough played it, the old 4-4-2 formation, and simplify the game. Let the players do their job. Let them go out and do whatever they had to do. The players know their job, and that's why I'm talking about putting players in positions that they know. Because if a player knows his job, Martin O'Neill will simplify it. And we've spoke to so many ex-players that played under him, and they tell you straight away, it makes you understand that it's on you. You know how to do your job. Go out and do it. Relax, enjoy the game, and play your way. Rely on some of your players, your teammates round about you to help you out, but be all and end all, you play your part of the game and do your part well, and let everybody else do their own bit. And when they do that, we'll beat them, mate. Do you know what I mean? If it comes down to it, and we simplify the game that much, and we've got players in the right positions, it's shooting in.
Yeah. Do you think, Stevie, the way that we look at things, do you think in years gone by, certain quarters of the fan base, so I say, because you know ourselves, if you watch us here, we are all for pushing on, trying to make the best of Europe, trying to tool up for Europe, give yourself the best squad so that you can perform well there, and in theory the domestic stuff, the bread and butter, should take care of itself. But do you think there's the expectations on Celtic in Europe, unfortunately, have been set so low by the board that can maybe filter into the mindset around the club? Because Paddy's mentioned Stuttgart, and you mentioned they're sitting fourth. They could get themselves, stay there in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. That may well be the case, but they're looking at this. They're teams that are looking at this tournament and thinking, we can win this. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying in Celtic's current squad and state that we are going to win this Europa League. Like, I'm realist. I don't think it's that happen. Celtic had went and spent a good bit of money during the summer, and we found ourselves position might feel a lot more optimistic. That's the difference I'm saying here. But is that maybe where a barrier that we need to break down at Celtic as a club in general? Because Martin and Neill's people are saying he'll want to win every game. He'll want to go out on a high. He won't be looking at himself as being this underdog. You know, never sell himself as an underdog. But Celtic are playing teams that want to push on, that look at the tournament to win it. I don't feel we've got that around the club, mate. That's something that's just a wee bit missing, is it not?
Absolutely. In terms of from Martin's side of things, you know, Martin himself, I saw an interview with him within the last week, and he was talking about the run to Seville and, you know, the kind of quality he had right throughout the squad that got them to Seville, and, you know, and were within X amount of minutes of lifting that trophy. This season, I think a lot of fans are frustrated and angry because it has all been caused within the club itself. We have, over the course of 2 transfer windows, failed to get in the right kind of personnel. The squad is probably at the moment as weak as it's ever been. Probably, you know, there'll be people watching this podcast that will say this is the weakest squad in my entire lifetime, and you can't really argue with that. You know, we're looking at this game tomorrow being a distraction because we don't have a strong enough squad that can say, yeah, we can go toe to toe with Stuttgart and then come back and, you know, and absolutely roller coaster right across Hibs. And that's, you know, that's where, as I say, people are looking. And now the board mostly have been, you know, to blame for this kind of downfall over the course of the season. It's not down to anything else, you know, whether it, you know, the Wilfred experiment part of it, absolutely. But I would say the biggest thing is the way that the squad has been run down to the bare bones.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as people are rightly saying, it is self-inflicted. But let's try and look at the positives of it. We are in a knockout game. In typical Celtic fashion, we got the slightly less favourable of the draw. It's the way it has to happen, didn't it? But it's a great opportunity to get a big stone off around our neck, because we keep getting battered around the head with this. You've no won a knockout European game. You've no won one. And it's a brilliant, as I say, they need to turn it into opportunity. Yeah, our backs are up against the wall. Yep, the performances haven't been fantastic. They've been glittering. It's been a bit of a struggle at time. There's been a couple of negatives in and around things, but it could be used as a springboard, as a platform. Now, of course, a win does that, and it does push you on. A draw does that. Mm-hmm. Even, dare I say it, if you are to get beat, but you go out with a bit of fight and a bit of style, and it just happened to be that team was better than you.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that we need. And when we look at the run-in, I just feel that this is a great opportunity to lift us, even if it is just in isolation. See if it was just you win this game, and then the away game, you get hammered. That's what it is. You have that one there. You know, you've done a bit, and it gives you something to build on. And particularly when you look at the amount of home fixtures we've got, bring it all together. This should be the first day of the rest of this season. That's what I'm talking about. And they're talking about the Green Brigade and getting folk back in, fans back in. Yeah, absolutely. Make it happen. It's important, and that could be a watershed moment. And on that, they're just bringing us around a wee bit to final address before we close up, because guys, there's been this narrative going around on social media, and I am pretty sure that some of it as well will have been filtering out of the club in various channels. And it is the likes of, oh, it's negativity. We want unity. But at the same time, you're shutting out fans. At the same time, you are banning fan-based media, podcasts, blogs, but inviting in all the big bad guys, the red tops that want to slaughter you and make a joke and make a mockery. So there is a complete and utter disconnect. There's a bit of dysfunction going on there. Hopefully we'll start to get these built up. But Paddy, you sit here, obviously Steve-O, you've joined us more recently, but you're long in the tooth, Paddy. We've been doing this will be 2 years come the start of March. Thanks to everybody that sits and joins us. What do you feel of this situation? Again, we talk about easy wins, getting the Green Brigade back in, that's one there. But also getting on board with fan media and things like that as well, because I feel that not only the fans that go to the game are getting vilified, people like ourselves are getting vilified as well. And I'm seeing a lot of that creep in, not from the beautiful folk that are watching tonight, but there's been a lot of sort of, dare I say it, pro-board, anti-fan rhetoric getting spilled. Us three guys on the screen, we're only here to promote negativity because it gets his clicks and it gets his money. I can tell you right now, absolute nonsense. People are DMing, calling out our credentials as Celtic fans. These are frauds. You just want to stir negativity for own gain. This is nonsense, Paddy, is it not?
Yeah, for me it is, mate. If you want to look at people who are doing that and throwing stuff out there to try and badmouth people and do things like that, then you just need to look at guys like Ross Desmond and your man who's took over for Lawwell. What's his name? Brian
Wilson.
Brian Wilson. Yeah, sorry, I've not seen many.
Such as a non-entity, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And the other boy in charge, what's his name? Michael Nicholson. Like these guys, mate, like, they come out there and people are bad mouthing us because why? Because we're an easy target. Because Celtic, it's like water off a duck's back to these guys in that, the custodians of the club, so we'll call them. And you look at it, mate, right? I'm not fussed what people's opinion is of me personally. I couldn't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, I'm long in the tooth. Right, yeah, I'm baldy, yeah, I'm fat, whatever, that's fine, mate, all good, right? You can tell me that I'm wrong about Celtic. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, then you're wrong. It's as simple as that, right? But like you said, we come on here, Steve-O, from the very beginning, we have been unfiltered. We don't care. We've come on, we've said, right, there's a few things that we won't stand for. Here they are. That's fine, that's out the window. But we tell it like it is. We're uncensored. We'll just come on and, do you know what I mean? If we don't think a player's been playing well, we'll call them out. At the very beginning, 420, who's been one of our longest standing members, will tell you, Arnie Engels, I gave that boy some amount of stick to the point where 420 was calling me out every week and going, what have you got to say about Arnie Engels now? And I sat there and I kept calling him out until the guy put in a performance. And that's kind of what we do. And we've done it tonight. Guys like Rio Hatate, who has been absolute garbage. And that's what we do, mate. We don't pussyfoot round about things. We don't back away from things that are 19 months. There you go, 420s in. Yeah. We don't back away from the subjects that other people do. If something needs addressed, we'll address it. And I think that's where the problem lies, Steve, because we are so transparent that not everybody's going to agree with us. And these people who are getting in touch and whatever else, the Karens, we'll call them, right? They're getting in touch because they're not happy about us calling out this board for, in my opinion, not showing any ambition whatsoever. Now, you can look at the trophy hall, you can look at everything else. Yes, fantastic. Celtic have been so dominant for so long. But as a fan, I'm not entitled. I lived through the 90s. I was there. I remember it well. But through this period of time, yes, we have been extremely successful, but I just feel like there's so many fans out there that look at us now and go, you're entitled, you expect this, you expect that, blah, blah, blah. Look at the trophies. I want more. I want ambition. I want this club to, like they said they're going to do, reinvest in this club. Now, I know we brought in loan signings this season and people tell you it's because we've got an interim manager and whatever else. I get that, but a bit of ambition. We're still in the Europa League. We've still got a chance to win the league and get potential of Champions League. We're still in the Scottish Cup. There's a treble. You've got a chance of still doing that. Go and invest 20 million, 30 million. If that, you'll make it back if you get to the Champions League. So that's my wee part of the ambition side of it. And I don't see that for anybody else. I just... That's the wee part that gets me, is folk kind of calling you out for things like that, when in my opinion it's just people jumping on what we're achieving and things like that, and not looking at the whole picture.
Yep, and as I said, I just wanted to bring this in because I'm seeing this across all sort of social media and all different sort of platforms. Obviously, our friends at Axon, I've seen they've been in back and forth. A lot of people in this gets levied at it, and this is my exact point here. As I said, who a member will soon be removed. Chemical waves, I believe that might have been chemical gases or some previously. We know that they're, I believe they're a Rangers fan, but they're all are welcome into our chat. And apparently, we can't take criticism. We can't take criticism. Come on, seriously, you've not been watching us. We can take criticism. What we're saying is we sit here, we do this in our own time because we're passionate about the club. And I'll say it once again. When I broke away from the other podcast that I was on and started this one up, I done it because I wanted to do it in my own time, my own style, with my own friends. And as I said before, I'm certainly not in it to make money. I am certainly not in it for some sort of minor YouTube or TikTok celebrity. I couldn't care less. I wanted to sit down, talk about the club that I love with like-minded people. And if people wanted to watch us and join in the journey and get involved and subscribe and do what you guys are all doing right now, then I'm all here for it. And thank you. The more the merrier. If I sat here and had no subscribers, I would still be doing it. So our reasoning for doing this is authentic and genuine. And I addressed it in a comment with somebody before that had messaged, and I says, look, it was, yous are all so negative, yous are kid on Celtic fans, yous are just, monetising misery. That's all you're doing. Absolutely nonsense. Believe you me, we are certainly not making fortunes off of this. We are barely covering over our backsides of what goes out. But that's not what it's about. It's about sitting here and talking and being honest. Now, we could sit here and we could tell you everything's brilliant, and we could lie to you and we could lie to ourselves, but we wouldn't do that. We'd rather be authentic and have no followers than sit here and talk pish because we think it's what people want to hear and have hundreds. We could sensationalise and have thumbnails with our faces on every single one and doing all this and doing all this and doing all that, and we like explosive captions to try and get folk to click in, but we're not doing that. So I just want to say thank you very much to every single one of you guys out there. Everybody that tunes in week in, week out, that subscribes, that has donated, that supported the channel. That's what we want, and we won't change for that. And we'd like to think that the small but steady growth of our channel with like-minded people like yourself is because we've been honest, because we've been authentic, and we've not been kidding ourselves and you guys on. So that's all I just wanted to say, because I'm seeing it popping up more and more and more, and I'm seeing different podcasts getting attacked. I'm seeing, people are blogging, all getting attacked. Honestly, trust me, it isn't the case. Paddy's in a group discussion with many other platforms and podcasts and stuff, and everybody's genuinely on the same page. There may well be some podcasts out there. There may be some other publications that, it's all about clicks and whatever. But that's up to people to make their own decisions. Do you know what I mean?
100%, mate. See, when it comes to it and people say to me, oh, what do you get from it all? Have a wee look at my wall behind me. See everything that's there? That's what I've got from this, because through this podcast, I've been able to reach out to ex-Celtic players and discuss with them what it was like to live our dream, to play for Celtic and things like that. And through that, I've managed to get a few things signed. That to me is totally surreal. Talking to guys like Didier Agat and Rudy Vata and Peter Grant and all these other guys, and then having Luba Moravchik come to our barbecue, Steve-O. Unreal. These things don't really happen. So that's what we've got from it. Like Steve-O says, it's not a money thing, it's not a fame thing or any of that kind of crap. I'm not interested in that. Really couldn't care less. I like talking about Celtic. I'm clearly not shy, clearly quite good at what we do. So listen, thank you so much for everybody who does follow us. Really do appreciate it. And hit the like button if you haven't subscribed already. hit it.
See,
What you waiting for?
see, Stevie, you're new to this. I get look, strength and depth. Look, he's adding a new signing to the team. Maybe Celtic should have done that.
Exactly.
But no, you know, as I said, I don't want to get down and make this consumer. I just wanted to touch on it because I said I've been speaking to some other folk that do this as well, and there's definitely been a notable increase in negativity and questioning people. As I've said before a million times over, see anybody that spends their time, there's millions of brilliant, maybe not millions, but there's loads of good quality podcasts and fan-based stuff out there. Go and check it out. Just come back to us as well. Keep us in your life and make us part of your Celtic content. Go and check it out. And everybody's doing this. Yes, some people are getting paid for it. Some people, it is their job. But that doesn't mean that they don't work any harder. And it doesn't mean they're less genuine because they're doing that. So I think that across the board, we need positivity. We need that positivity. We need positivity in these circles when we're all talking. We need positivity in the stadium, and the board need to give back as well. Get those folk that have got access. We're not one of them. Get them back in. Why not? Try and get between now and the end of the season, Stevie boy. Push on, and hopefully we can finish up strong, mate.
Yeah.
I know this mess will be a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you say, I'm the new guy here, but just my opinion since the time I've been involved with the podcast. We're not professional journalists, okay? I certainly don't know anybody who works in the club, and therefore I get a wee bit of information that could be probably a wee bit better informed. We sit here and we give a bit of banter and we talk about what we see happening, okay? This season, we'll probably, yes, had to talk about things that we probably wouldn't even have dreamed of talking about 2 and 3 seasons ago. However, there's a famous saying that sometimes the truth hurts. But at the end of the day, it's still the truth. Yeah. So if you need to talk about negative things, so be it. There's many, many occasions that we've talked and we have given credit where credit's due because certain players have gone on a run of form or things have happened. And, you know, I think we're very balanced. We also are a kind of a light-hearted way, right? Nobody should be looking at us. I'm certainly not Hugh Keevins or any, you know, paid, you know, pundit or whatever.
I don't know, man. Sometimes you talk shite and also.
Absolutely. I talk shite more than you two guys put together. But at least, you know, as I say, it's done in a light-hearted manner, and it's done in a way where you say, I'm going to put my opinion out there. The comments will show. People will come on. Some will agree. Some won't. If you were all to the one side and say everything's great at Celtic, you know, you would get that, oh, you're just a happy clapper. And
it's true.
And now this is on the other side. Oh, no, you're all negativity. We're not all of anything. We're wee bits here and there when other events at the club, you know, show that. You know, we Paddy came up with the Yang Gang. Nobody else would come up with anything like that. But that was, again, because we were putting it out.
I'll get a disclaimer. That was stolen patter from elsewhere, but I'm knowing your Yang Gang. I'm still knowing it.
But, you know, as I say, it's one of these things. You know, people will always try and bring you down because you're doing something that they're not part of, okay? See your neighbour that phones in because you're playing loud music and you've got a few people around, that's because they didn't get invited. You know what I mean? So that's the sort of thing. If you're getting fan media back into the club, you'll give us a better channel to collect information, and these sort of conversations we can say, right, here's what we've officially heard and this, that and the next thing to try and put a spin on it. But we can't be all sunshine or all shite. It just never happens.
No, absolutely. Well, as I say, we'll bring that down to close. I just wanted to sort of show a wee bit of unity to some of the other people that I know have been getting a wee bit of hassle and wrongly tarred and brought down. Again, we spoke about this divide and conquer, and I think, using people like ourselves and these kind of platforms is an easy way to sort of say, oh, that's bad, they're pushing this narrative and they're no helping the situation. No, we're here to talk honestly. That's it. So just wanted to mention that. And again, I actually did have a wee look. Remember the last time we were on and we got asked about comments from our platform? I hadn't seen them. I saw them at the time, and I will repeat based off of that what I said the last time. We're Celtic World Order. Paddy, Stephen and Steve-O. We don't speak for anybody else. Other people might put out stuff that is controversial, that's derogatory, that's, it's reactionary, and they regret it. That's on them, not on us. And we're not here to comment on anybody else other than, we're not here to talk about anybody else other than Celtic, the club, and the team on the pitch, and give our own views. We represent our own views. Everybody else, that's on them. So, guys, thank you very much. But let's try and finish on a high. We said that it could be an inspiration that the squad needs. The game's tomorrow. We're round the corner. I'm just going to say it. Paddy, positive Paddy. Is there a result in the post for Celtic?
Definitely. Of course it is, Steve-O. I'm looking at this game, mate. I'm confident that we can go in there. I said before, we need a result. We need something to take out to Germany. We need to get something there, mate. For me, I think they'll score, but I think we'll get a result. So going on the way both teams are at the minute, I'm going to say 2-1 Celtic with a 98th minute second goal for Celtic.
Yes. What about yourself, Steve-O? What about yourself, Stevie boy?
Yeah, I think the usual, it's going to be a kind of defib fixture tomorrow. I'm going to say 2-2.
Yeah. Well, I will be honest. I think Celtic will get a victory. I'm going to say a very narrow 1-0. I genuinely think that across the piece, I don't think Celtic will progress. But I do think we'll get a result tomorrow. And I think it'll be a 1-0. I'll take that all day long. And again, hey, as I said, I'd love to see us go through. I want us to be competing and doing well on all fronts. But yeah, I'll take a win tomorrow. If it's only to be 1 out of 2, I'll take it. But I think 1-0, I think that we will get the result. I think it will be surprisingly quick start, competitive. And I just think it'll be sort of 2 immovable forces, and it'll be one moment of brilliance that will open the game up. I hope I'm right. Again, it's based on nothing. It's just how I feel. But I'm going for 1-0. So listen, thank you very much to every single one of you for tuning in tonight, watching us. We will be back to talk about that result, no matter what it becomes off it later on in the week. We might jump on immediately after it. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Only the positive side, remember, Steve-O. Only the positive side.
We'll be there. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll be there to talk about it. Hopefully everybody enjoys it. Hopefully we get news filtering through that there's going to be the fan groups back in, bringing the noise, bringing the atmosphere, bringing exactly what we need. And with that, that'll maybe encourage more people as well who might not have bought a ticket to go, well, they're in. I want to be in. I want to be part of it. And yeah, ramp up the positivity between now and the end of the season. So guys, thank you very much.
Listen, the wee man has spoken, Steve-O. That's my wee boy. My wee boy said it's going to be 6-0. Get it on, everybody. Get in there.
The wee man is very much your son, because that's
he's just like his dad. That optimism, that faith. On you go, wee man. I love it.
Well, anyway, thank you very much to everybody who says hit the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing. Get a wee thumbs up. And if you're catching up after the event, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought, the conversation, what you think the result's going to be, and anything else you want to discuss. And as we always do, we try to get back and answer the questions as we can. So thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. And of course, Paddy boy.
As always, guys, thank you so much. Hit the like and subscribe, and hail, hail.